Hello and welcome to my results from 10 hours of killing Ents in the wilderness. And a special thanks for this one goes to Really Is It for the suggestion for this video. And I did all of this with 81 woodcutting, 90 attack and 99 strength, and we also had the wilderness medium diaries done. But without further ado, let's get straight into it, starting with the loot. So for the loot we got almost 5 mil in total, and the overwhelming majority of the profit from this method comes from the magic logs, with the U logs gathered being the second most profitable. Which really indicates the fact that 75 woodcutting for this method is basically mandatory, otherwise you don't get any magic logs and you'd barely make any profit. I should note at this point as well that you can also do this outside of the wilderness, but you'd get half as much profit because the Ents drop half as many logs. So it really is worth it if you are going to be doing this method to do it in the wilderness. But now that you've seen all the loot, let's get into the stats. And the first thing that should be obvious when we look at experience is that this is a really bad method if you're looking to train your stats. Basically, you don't get a lot of combat experience because you're spending a lot of time chopping logs, and you don't get a lot of woodcutting experience because the logs don't actually give you a lot of experience overall. One positive is that the supply cost for this method is tiny, because you don't need to use any combat potions because you're spending so much time chopping logs instead. So all you really need is food and teleports, and one inventory of monkfish will generally last you around an hour here. Which also means that almost all of your loot is pure profit, and for this one we got 484k per hour, which is perfectly respectable as a mid-level money making method. Although the main drawbacks for this is that it doesn't give very good experience, and it's also quite risky because it's in the wilderness, and frankly there are better mid-level options out there that have less risk and give you more experience per hour. And finally, because you spend so long chopping logs, you only get around 40 kills per hour. But do keep in mind if you're doing these as a slayer task that if you do just ignore the logs on the ground, you'll get a lot more kills per hour instead. Although obviously in that case you won't be getting any profit. The method for doing these is actually super easy to do, especially when you're just chopping the logs, as you don't need to pay any attention at all. But that is actually quite risky as well, because this is in the wilderness and PKs can kill you, stealing all of your profit. So whilst it is a potential AFK moneymaker, you can't actually AFK while you do this. Since the method is so easy, aside from the prominent threat of PKs, there's not really much more to say though, because all you have to do is kill the Ents, chop the logs, and then bank when you have too much loot. So if you're looking for a very simple mid-level moneymaker and you don't mind the risk of being in the wilderness, then you should give this a try. Although personally I would stress that there are better money making methods out there for you. And with that covered, that is it for the findings of this video, so I do hope you enjoyed and found it helpful as always. And as always, I hope you're all having a wonderful day, and I'll see you all next time. Bye guys!